Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talk Scottish Football. For the first time in quite a wee bit, we're actually back in the podcast style of things. So if you're listening on Spotify, if you're listening to Apple Podcasts, welcome back to the show. It's been a wee while. David, nice to see you too. My good host, David Buick. How you doing, my man?
I'm alright, mate, yeah. We're in an interesting spot recording this day because we are expecting a Scotland squad announcement at some point this afternoon. Hopefully not after we've done this and hopefully during. We've kind of got a gist of what might be in it, but yeah, that's kind of it's nerve-wracking a little bit that we missed that this afternoon.
Of course, there's a couple of rumours around who might be in and who might be out of the Scotland squad. We will touch on them as the show goes on. We've got a wee bit to speak about before that, but let's address the elephant in the room very quickly. 1,000 subscribers.
Woohoo!
We'd finally done it, and you know what? I must admit, it took a lot less time than what it took for the 918 channel.
Well, we started in what?
4 years.
Did we start in January?
January or February time, aye.
Yeah.
Madness. We've done well, so thank you very much for the support. Everybody watching, Don't worry. We're going to celebrate this week by having a full week of content, hopefully. We're going to be putting this out tonight. We've got an FM video, the return of the Road to Euro 2020. We've got a wee 1K special. And then we're going to be live on Saturday as well. So
grinding out the content.
Exactly. It's a wee bit of motivation for us all. But in the world of Scottish football, things never stop. So I guess that is where we start. An interesting start to the season we've had, David. We've not really had the chance to speak about the start of the season on a podcast. So what's been your thoughts so far before we touch on the weekend that just passed there?
Well, I mean, the standout so far, the Hibs have been a standout for me. You know, joint top of the table. Who'd have thought that? This many games in, it'd still be up there. You know, it's one of the main things I tweeted on Saturday just after Celtic's late winner, that it's mental how intense this title race is already. You know, we're not even in September yet, and saw people, Celtic fans, tweeting that they celebrated that goal like they just won the 10. You know, it was like the intensity and the pressure is there so much already, and it's only going to intensify. And it is, it's great. I'm loving it so far.
That goal against Dundee United the weekend was, and I'm sure we'll come on to touch about each game, but it's just a very big reminder of what the last 2-3 years has been about at Celtic. You know, that sort of performance. Those goals are the goals that win the league titles. That is the difference maker. So it's good to see the team, you know, forging ahead in these games, not giving in and making sure they get these last gasp winners. And I'm sure it's not going to be, you know, there was a big brouhaha, you could say, when Celtic dropped points to Kelly, when Rangers dropped points to Livy. You know, on both sides, supporters were laughing at each other, supporters were getting on their own team's backs. We need to be ready for a full year of this. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen. You know, it's going to be such a difficult season. And of course, how long can Hibs stay in this race? Because the way they're playing, you know, they don't show any signs of slowing down. And I cannot wait for the first Hibs-Rangers, Hibs-Celtic game to see really the level of Hibs against these two sides. Of course, no one is expecting Hibs to go to a full 38 games and be close to them at the top of the table. But, you know, they're a very solid team. And it's just going to show how good a manager Jack Ross is.
Yeah, I think their defence will probably kill them in the long term. I think they're a bit questionable back there. I mean, in terms of midfield and attack, you've got Horgan and Boyle, two wingers that can score and create. You've got Allen, you've got Stevie Mallon who can create from midfield. Gogut's a big brute, he's got some steel in the middle for them. And obviously we spoke about Doidge and Nisbet. You know, if you've got two strikers that are looking like they're going to bang in 20 goals each this season at least, you know, you're gonna cause teams problems. And I think
of course,
most people
being the best striker in the country.
Yeah, of course. Sadly, a wee injury just now, but you know, I think most people tipped Hibs for third, and you'd be a stupid man to bet against them for third. Now, I'd have thought.
Oh no, of course. I said it at the start of the season, and I thought they would finish third quite easily, and they're showing exactly why. But of course, the story of Hibs is normally, you know, they do well, and then the inconsistency starts to trickle in.
Yeah, I thought that was a big result for them on Sunday. You know, they didn't play particularly well, and they absolutely ground out 3 points in a pretty turgid fashion, you know. I don't know, did you watch any of that game on Sunday?
I seen the last kind of 20 minutes, half hour.
Well, I watched the first half, and there was some real questionable officiating in that game. I mean, St Johnstone should have been up 1-0. There was an offside given.
I seen the video. I seen the video. Was it one of the St Johnstone boys maybe? Or was it the other side shouting about the penalty that wasn't again or something? And
that was for the penalty at Hibs got at the end.
Was that at that point in the game? Right, okay. I thought it was much earlier in the game.
That was that, but in the first half, St Johnstone had a perfectly good goal disallowed. Callum Hendry had a header past the goalie. He was onside. Horgan had played him on, but you know, Callum Davidson not quite getting the breaks. You know, I picked him up before his announcement, and when he was announced as St Johnstone manager, he's not quite had the best start yet, but they'll feel a bit aggrieved they didn't get something from the weekend. But again, Hibs grinding out the result, and that's what they are going to need to do, I think, to seal third this year. But Hibs sealing third is kind of masqueraded with the fact that Motherwell have had a dreadful start to the season, and that continued again on Saturday.
Aye. Very happy, I must say, very quickly, for Stevie Malin to get that last bit of goal. I've always been a fan of Stevie Malin. I feel like he needed that for his confidence to go up. He's been very hit or miss over recent times. And even, I remember at the start of the season, I was talking about, in my predictions video, I said, Stevie Malin, great player, to be big for Hibs this season. There was a lot of people commenting, including Hibs fans, saying, Stevie Malin's no that good. And I'm like, he is a good player. Just wait till he gets his confidence back. Wait till you see him and he can score goals. Great player, good for him, happy for him. St Johnstone, nightmare. There's a few managers in this league that have had a nightmare start, and I'm sure we'll touch on him. So is that what we started with the St Johnstone Hibs game? We're moving on from there.
Let's move on from there.
Let's go over to a team who have been very interesting at the start of this season. Someone who we've really not spoke about enough on the channel because we missed a major piece of news. Let's talk about Aberdeen. And their 2-1 win at the weekend over Livingston, of course.
Not just that, but their 1-0 win on Thursday night against St Johnstone.
Big, huge for McInnes.
Massive results for Aberdeen. I mean
that was a madness.
They were pretty poor in both games, but they still grinded through 3 points both times. Massive results for Aberdeen, especially, in 3-4 days to get 6 points.
I mean, the rumours coming out of Pittodrie, the week following the disaster of Pubgate. Oh my God, you'd think that it was... Armageddon up north. But they've came out from it looking a stronger team. I think
it's just absolutely typical Aberdeen, though. I mean, even when they're not playing pretty, they still, for years now, just managed to grind out these results. I saw a few tweets about the game on Sunday they played, and people said they were just awful for the entire first half. They found themselves 2-0 up, and they were just playing dreadfully. They ground out the result. Fair enough. I think it was just massive for McInnes to get results of those 2 games. I don't think he'll care less about the performance. He saw it after the St Johnstone game. Had the players in the pitch giving a big speech.
Aye, that's
so a big month for the club, really, when you think about it. Not even just the club, the whole city going back into lockdown and stuff. It's been a bit of a turbulent time up there. So them to get 6 points is pretty vital. I think
alongside the 6 points, there cannot be. We can't ignore the fact that they've made a cracking signing as well. And McCrory, I think that's an excellent signing for them. Add a lot of sturdy, defensive prowess to the midfield.
McCrory's versatility, is that you can play at the back, you can play at full back, you can play midfield. So
they've really got somebody I think they needed in that team. I feel like they need somebody through the middle. I've always been. The thing is with McCrory, there's no denying he's a good player. What annoys me was when he broke on the scene, there was this conversation to compare him with Kieran Tierney. And it was always nonsense to me. And that, for me, kind of brought down my view on him. I didn't see him as good a player because people were just trying to put him to that level. But there is no denying that he is a good player. And he will help Aberdeen big time. I'm just surprised that's the kind of way his careers went after being touted so highly. I thought he would have, over the last couple of years, got himself a place in that Rangers team. I thought he would have been in there. So McInnes must be chuffed with that. That has got to be big for them.
Yeah. And Marley Watkins as well signed on Saturday to play Sunday. So, they've been desperate for a striker, obviously, with Cosgrove out. The boy Edmondson from Leeds out long term already. And Bruce Anderson being the only one that's really there. So, 2 big signings this week and 2 big results for Aberdeen.
And you think you think about that all happening. The signing of Watkins, the signing of McCrory, 6 points. All off the back of what looked to be an absolute disaster. The turnaround there. I don't think there was... I've got a good friend who supports Aberdeen, and as soon as everything happened with the players at the pub, the rumours, he said he was very confident in saying, must I say, that they would not even get top half this season. That turnaround has got to be such a confidence boost for the fans. Mental how things just turned around so quickly for them. Of course, there's a long way to go. Let's not get over our heads with it all. There's still, the vast majority of the season to play.
Last season, it was every single week. It seemed like there was more McInnes out cries from Aberdeen fans. If he'd have lost, if he'd have taken a point from these 2 games, that would have ramped up again already so early on. So for him, a massive result. 2 new signings should boost them, and they'll be there or thereabouts in terms of fighting for third place. There's no doubt about that for me, because they're just. It's similar to the way Celtic are so experienced with fighting for the title. Aberdeen are so experienced with fighting for that third spot. So they'll be there or thereabouts. I think for Livingston, though, It's not been a great start for them. Apart from that result against Rangers, it's not been a great start for them.
And it makes you think, is the third time a charm? Is this the season Livingston may go down? I mean, that's 2 years in a row they've been in the Premiership, and both seasons, the majority of fans who are not Livingston fans will honestly tell you they didn't expect much more of them than an 11th or 12th place finish. This season, they have started the season like it could be. Despite somehow they got that point off of Rangers. But apart from that, Gary Holt is looking at a nightmarish scenario. He's just lost their key player in Lyndon Dykes. Is this going to be a long season for Livingston, do you think?
I don't think it'll be as high as they were last year at the league. I don't think it'll be as strong. I do think they'll stay up, though. I think there's just too much strength and steel in that team. You know, I think Gary Holt himself had questioned, I think it was after the Hibs game, he questioned their desire and hunger and work rate. And I think once you take that away from Livy, you're really going to struggle. They lost not just Dykes, I think Lawless was just as much of a as well. Second top goal scorer, highest assist maker, set pieces as well. He was on them. You know, so two big misses. Anthony Stokes as well signed yesterday. So
yesterday.
Sunday was it? I can't remember.
I think it was Saturday signed.
Oh, was it? I thought it
was Saturday because it was in the papers on Sunday.
Well, anyway, he's come in. I think it's an interesting transfer because I'm not entirely sure what Anthony Stokes you're going to get. I mean,
you're going to get. Do you know what Anthony Stokes you're going to get, dude? You're going to get Tony Macaroni Stokes.
Tony Macaroni Stokes. Yeah.
That's the Tony you're getting.
But it's an interesting one. Certainly in the twilight of his career, but undoubted quality. We've seen that for Celtic.
I think. Look, can I come out and make one of my Ryan 118 bold claims, please?
Let's have it.
Right, the first one of the perhaps 2020-21 season. This is going to rile a few cages, I can tell.
Okay,
Anthony Stokes will be a more valuable player to Livingston than what Lyndon Dykes was.
Okay.
I can see the doubt in your face already. You're just like, okay, look, I will, because we're going to come on to it when we come to the Scotland squad. Let me get out the way right now. Lyndon Dykes is bang average.
Yeah.
Bang average. He turned up against Celtic. That was all I ever seen from him. Throughout the course of the season, he was just another bang average Premiership striker. Anthony Stokes, of course, he's 32. He's just back from Iran. He's been playing all over these.
He's younger than I would think he is. Stokes.
He's been playing all over these leagues that I don't want to come out and say a tin pot or anything like that because I'm not about that style. I respect football anywhere it may be. But he's been playing around these leagues that you may not find as reputable or as quality filled as the Scottish Premiership, right? But he offers so much more in terms of just versatility, pace, experience.
Pace.
That's
a bold shout.
He has got more pace than Lyndon Dykes. I don't know because I've not seen him play since he left Hibs, so he might have lost all that pace, right? But if he's managed to keep himself in any form of fitness to the level he was at Hibs, I just feel like overall they have got a better player there than what they had in Lyndon Dykes. Look, Anthony Stokes has won the Premiership, he's won the Scottish Cup, he's won the League Cup, he's played down in England. This is a player who's been around, he knows the game, and he's got a point to prove as well. I honestly never ever thought Lyndon Dykes was that special. Despite being impressive when they need him to be in the role that he played, he could do very well. I just feel like Stokes can do so much more.
I think the thing with Dykes, though, in terms of from a Scotland point of view, is the role that he plays for Livy will often be the role that he's asked to play for Scotland in terms of that lone striker who's going to run channels, hold the ball up and get other players into the game. So from that point of view, I can understand the Scotland call-up thing. If it does happen, that's not totally confirmed as of yet. We'll come on to that. Stokes, yeah, listen, you know, experience, he'll score goals, you'd imagine. I think it's a strange one. It's a tough one for me to predict because you've no idea what sort of Stokes you're getting.
Quite a divisive figure, isn't he? Tony
Anthony Stokes, is he?
Oh, is he? Is he? Do you not know the politics around Tony Stokes?
I don't know. I tried to stay out of that carry on.
Oh, jeez. Oh, you've missed a lot, son. Let's just say his
father, divisive as his Barnett, I think.
His father is part of a very select group. Yeah.
I don't think Livingston fans will give two monkeys about that, to be honest.
Nah, I mean, a lot of the fans have been, from what I've heard, are quite unhappy with the signing because of the political side of things.
I've never really given a monkey about what people who play for my team do or think or whatever. As long as it's ball in the back of the net, I couldn't care less.
Exactly. It's the same story as your Lee Griffiths, etc. If he's coming to you, I had a good conversation with Motherwell fan Big Gogs, and he said if Griffiths ever had the opportunity to sign for Motherwell, he would bite the hand off and take him in a second. But now he was getting all sorts of backlash for saying, oh, look what he's done, look at him, blah, blah, look at his.
But that's just because they know fine well that he's not going to sign for Motherwell. I think if he was signing for Motherwell, it'd be a different story.
You would take him in a heartbeat, no denying. But Gary Holt, we'll get back with him. Better start, but they need to get a few more points under their belt over the next few games, or it could be bad for them because we're forgetting we're now 5 games into the season. Well, some teams are, mine isn't. But Gary Holt needs to get off the mark. Where are we head next, David? I'll let you pick.
Right, well, I will go to the game that I covered, which I've completely forgotten which one I watched. Which one's that? Oh, Rangers. I watched Rangers at the weekend. That's why.
Well,
my head gone.
The main convo. Let's just skip cracking result. Right, we'll skip the game.
You just settle down. I'll watch the game here. I'll decide what we're skipping. All right.
Okay.
What you want to come on to? Ryan Kent? Is that what you want to come on to?
No, I wanted to come on to how long does it last this year?
Right. Well, we're not getting to this game until I talk about Ryan Kent because I know how much.
Him that's bang average. I'm joking. God almighty.
Ryan Kent at the weekend was fantastic for Rangers. He was absolutely brilliant. And it just emphasised for me why they can't let him go.
Apparently, I just sorry to cut you off. I don't know if you've heard. Apparently, in the BBC this morning, anyway, they're reporting that Kent doesn't want to leave Rangers.
No, I don't think he would want to leave now.
So that's a massive boost in terms of because I think if Leeds do submit a bid to Rangers that Rangers deem suitable and they accept it, you've always got that comfort of maybe Ryan Kent turning around and going, nah.
I don't think Rangers will take anything less than 15 million. So
ultimately, I think
I'm not saying that's what he's worth. I'm saying I don't think they'll take any less than that this season, and I also don't think Leeds will offer more than that because, from their point of view, it doesn't make any sense.
No,
but I heard Andy Halliday this morning saying that he would rather Morelos left Rangers than Kent, and I completely agree with that. To be honest, see at this point, I wouldn't have done a month ago, but see at this point, I would because they played without Morelos at the weekend, and I don't think they missed him at all. Really,
See, they've made those two big signings.
Kent was so important to everything Rangers did on Saturday. And he was playing a different role to what he did last year. So he was playing central behind the striker. They just gave him the ball constantly. Keep giving him the ball. Yeah, he'll take people on, he'll lose it. But see if you win it and give it back to him, he'll make something happen. There were so many times where there was one particular bit of skill where he absolutely skins his man, whips a shot, it's going towards the top corner. Danny Rogers claws it out. He plays the pass for the assist for the goal. He gets his goal. He was vital to everything Rangers did. And although it took them 50 odd minutes to break Kelly down, it wasn't like they were not creating chances at all. They were still creating. They eventually got the goals and they were good value for the win in the end. Kelly, first half looked a little bit dangerous in the break, but they kind of petered out the game completely. Some people saying Alex Dyer's in trouble. I'm not too sure I buy into that just now, but yeah, they kind of petered out.
Give it 5 more games, they will be in trouble.
Yeah, I think he needs to pick
up. Once again, the same story as Livingston. They get that massive point against Celtic. You think that would kick them on, but no. Of course, not an easy run. And it's never an easy run in this league. You find yourself playing Celtic or Rangers one week, you find yourself playing Hibs or whatever the next week, and then you're fighting somebody. And then people forget, people will turn around and go, Kelly should be taking 3 points off Hamilton or whoever they might be playing. But Hamilton are in a similar situation. They need 3 points too. So people forget about that. But Ryan Kent, let me come back. Obviously, I've been very vocal on my opinion of Kent on this channel before. I've came out and I will stick to my guns. I will not turn around and say last year I think he was the most overrated player in the country. His best performances was in Europe for me, which is obviously massive. But you just look at how much he added to that team in terms of goals, making goals. He wasn't what the Rangers fans made him out to be in my eyes. But I will safely say now, in this new role that he's playing in, and so far from what I have seen of him this season, he is going to be Rangers' key player this year. I always thought it'd be Ryan Jack, but no, I think Kent will be their key player this year if he keeps playing to this standard. But last year, there was not an ounce of consistency in that man's body.
Yeah, I think Rangers fans will probably agree with that as well. He wasn't consistent enough, but there was never any doubting his ability, in my opinion.
He's no doubt about it, a talented footballer. Technical ability is fantastic.
I think you would swap him for James Forrest just now.
Right now, absolutely. I wouldn't have said it in February, and you know that because in February I said I would take Marian Shved. But now there's no denying that because he has turned a corner and he started this season consistently. He's played well every single week. If he keeps that going, there's no doubt by the end of the season he'll be up there for Player of the Year award, he'll be in the Team of the Year, blah, blah, blah. So if he keeps that up, very well and good.
Well, you mentioned Ryan Jack there, and he's someone that I want to speak about because, see, there was a point last year, maybe October, November, December, before he picked up an injury, he was the best player in the country. He was absolutely flying at one point. He was every single week he was vital to the Rangers winning. He started scoring goals, he was in Scotland squads, he got a wee injury, and then after that, never really bounced back. So far this season,
did any of the Rangers team?
No, I suppose so. But I think he's not really started the season. I've heard a lot of people, Rangers fans, moaning about Ryan Jack. Sideways passing and all this carry on. He's not. He's not been that great so far this season. So he's an interesting one. But yeah, Kent, as I said, everything went through him on Saturday. Gave the ball to him, try and make things happen, and see where they go. Rangers good value for the win, and a big one, because after dropping points the week prior, they needed to keep the pressure on Celtic. And boy, did they keep the pressure on Celtic, because it looked like Celtic were feeling the pressure a little bit on Saturday night.
Well, just before we move on to that game, I just want to say very, very quickly, just as a last comment to the Rangers game, every week I grow more excited and more nervous at the prospect of that first Old Firm derby of the season. That is going to be interesting, because it has the potential to change the course. These right now, the way you look at it, these 4 games could decide the season.
We said this all last year, though, and it made no difference in the end.
It made no difference, because we got to January and Rangers fell apart. This year, there's no winter break. Will Rangers fall apart this year? I hope so. I really hope so. But it's just, I was thinking about this. I was driving to work the other night. Here's a rhyme on 180. I was driving to work and I was listening to Super Scoreboard, and they were talking about, the Old Firm and blah, blah. And I just thought to myself, I put the window down, sparked up a cig, sat there, and I thought to myself, what are you shaking your head for, son?
No smoking.
Anyway, so I thought to myself, in my lifetime, how many times have I been genuinely nervous and genuinely scared to play Rangers? A handful of times. The Tony Mowbray season, and probably the Betfred Cup final last year, because it was the first time that I had ever really seen an Old Firm Cup final that was so, so amped up. It was just so, because people go about it. I always really started getting in and understanding football when I was 6, 7 years old. Celtic went on to win 3 in a row from there. Rangers won 3 in a row. And then I didn't see them for the next 6 years. So it's madness to think about that. But I'm excited. But as you were saying, keeping the pressure on. Celtic looked a wee bit under pressure on Saturday night. But who came off? Swiss Bliss. I'll be an Ayeti. What a signing he's going to be, I'm telling you.
Tell you what, he looks unbelievably unfit just now, though.
Oh, Lennon's even said that. But look, this is a guy who played 8 times last season for West Ham. And he's probably just gagging to get back into it. So hopefully that gives him a confidence boost. Hopefully he's, this is... I don't think we're going to find ourselves in a situation where we're talking about Lee Fitness. Certainly not Lee Fitness anyway. Lee Griffiths standards of unfitness. Because, it's a guy, he earned himself a Premier League move, for God's sake. He was big money at West Ham. I think he'll get himself into shape, understand the importance of what he's got to contribute to the biggest season in Celtic's modern history. And we'll see the best of him, because there was glimpses of him that just looked really promising in that game on Saturday night. It looked like, the thing I said in my video was that number 10 on the back of his shirt. There was a couple of things in that game that reminded me of a certain number 10 who played in the Champions League semi-final a couple of weeks ago. So I'm not saying he's going to be to that standard of player. I think it'll be hard to ever top the likes of Moussa Dembele, but there's certainly glimpses of a promising player there.
Yeah, I mean, they need someone to challenge Edouard, because Edouard was I think it'd be fair to say, he was a bit off the pace on Saturday himself. Wasn't at his usual high standards, and with Griffiths seemingly, well, there's not even much point even talking about Griffiths, because you never know what's going to happen next.
Well, apparently Neil Lennon's came out and said that he's not leaving.
I just don't understand what the story is. I don't get it.
I know that. I feel like at this point he's there to be like, I don't know, the T-bone.
But then I don't see. I can understand why he doesn't leave, in the fact that no one's going to come in and pay a fee for him. I can't see anyone paying money for him. So it's not in Celtic's interest to let him go for nothing, for him to go to a HIBS, a Motherwell, someone like that, and then score goals against Celtic. That's not in their interest either. One thing I will say about Ayeti, though, is £5 million is quite a lot of money for a Celtic striker when you think about, certainly in recent times. So he's got a little bit of an expectation to live up to in terms of the price tag. That was a vital goal at the weekend. And yeah, he needs to push Edouard, because to get the best out of Edouard, I think you need that little bit of competition. And Griffiths gave him that at the end of that season. That's where Edouard's form skyrocketed also. But yeah, not just Celtic, Dundee United as well. I thought Dundee United were, for large parts of that game, very good. They had a right go, as I thought they would do. And that's without Shankland as well. So yeah, they've had a really good start to the season. I really like Mickey Mellon, like the way he speaks, like the way he sets his team out. And he's got a lot to be happy about in terms of that performance. The fact that they were disappointed in the result is a compliment to them.
I must admit, I'm a fool for any man who plays the 4-4-2. Automatically, you have a place in my heart. But that's the thing that really annoyed me about the game on Saturday. As soon as I gave my thoughts on Twitter and on YouTube as well to the result and such, so many panic merchants in the comments talking about how this is going to be a disaster. Lennon should be out. I've seen that a good few times. I'm like, what? Sorry? Lennon out, but team's not good enough. Team's bang average, this, that, the next thing. I'm like, right, look. We're 3 games into the season. We're just off the back of a break from playing league football for the last 13 days. And give some respect to Dundee United. For goodness sake, where does this entitlement come from? It annoys me with our support sometimes. Where's this entitlement that we should be battering every team 5-0 week in, week out? Dundee United have started this season absolutely. They shouldn't be. They have no right to start the season as well as they have. Just coming up from the championship.
With Shanklin injured too.
And Shanklin injured, just up from the championship. A new manager. That's a lot of getting used to. And people are automatically presuming we should beat them 5-0. No, they've done well. They've got a really good mixture of experience and youth in that team, and it works so well together. You've got the likes of Connolly and Reynolds at the back, older guys, a lot of experience, and then you've got who's the young boy at fullback, 19. Forgot his name. Nielsen. Is that it? You've got.
He's not one of them. No.
There's a boy who plays at fullback for them. I know who I'm talking about. His name has slipped my head.
You've got a Robson, Liam Smith. But neither of them are 19.
It's just absolutely slipped my mind. There's a young boy who plays for them. It might be a fullback.
Yeah, you're thinking the boy Nielsen, I think.
Am I thinking Nielsen?
Mm-hmm.
Right, well, whatever age he is, you've got good experience, good youth, working well together. A manager who knows clearly what he's doing. I'm not even going to get on to Mickey Mellon because I've already done it enough on my channel. I've been getting slagged rotten for apparently fancying the pants off him, and rightfully so, he's done really well. So I just would like to see Celtic fans understand that it's not going to be easy. Rangers will probably struggle against Dundee United at Tannadice. When we go back to Celtic Park at the weekend, when we play, I think it's Motherwell, don't we? We play Motherwell on Sunday at Parkhead. Then we could maybe expect a few more goals because we're at our own ground. We'll have a bit of, football back in us. That'll be by Sunday's time, 3 games. And we'll be ready to go. But I agree with you, saying in Edward. Hopefully he gets a wee bit up the backside too.
So we've kind of done the games in a weird order from the weekend. Still 2 more to cover. We'll go to Fir Park. You were watching that game, Motherwell Hamilton, Lanarkshire Derby. Don't think you enjoyed it too much.
The less I say, the better.
What a result though for Hamilton.
Massive. Big for Brian Rice. I think that's going to be the game. 85 minutes or so. How long? When was it the minute they got their goal in?
86 or something like that.
86th minute. 86 minutes they patiently waited while under the cosh to get a goal from Motherwell, from Motherwell's mistakes or whatever. That, for me, is the story of Hamilton's season.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be waiting for mistakes. It's going to be waiting patiently for wins over the course of 38 games, never mind 86 minutes.
Yeah,
that's Hamilton's season.
We said it on the stream on Saturday before. They obviously had Ross County and St Mirren at home already. They were games they had to pick up points and they got nothing. So Motherwell, that game at the weekend, a bit of pressure on Hamilton to get something. I think a lot of people would have said they need to get a point. They got all 3. So yeah, massive. And the fact that, Motherwell is a whole different topic of conversation. 2 points after 5 games. It looks like David Turnbull's on his way out the door. It's a dreadful start for Stephen Robinson. A really dreadful start. He doesn't look like. The mental thing is, for a team that finished 3rd last year, it doesn't look like he knows what his best team is just now.
Nah.
He doesn't know what his best team is. They haven't seemed to click in terms of the style of play they're wanting to play. Stephen O'Donnell, a great signing. Turnbull back fit. You'd thought they had a good start to the season, but they've been pretty woeful all in.
David Turnbull as well, interestingly enough, the only player who turned up in that park for them at the weekend.
Yeah.
He was the highlight of the game.
He was the best player.
He was the highlight of the game for me, David Turnbull, and it really gave me an energy I never thought I had to see him sign for Celtic. If they lose him, my mind works in 2 ways here, and one of the ways you're going to think to yourself, shut up, right, you're talking absolute nonsense. But one side is, of course, Turnbull goes, they struggle to replace him, and Motherwell will go through this season struggling. The other side is, last year, they had him for about 60 minutes altogether, and they've done so well. Will the loss of Turnbull maybe allow Robinson to figure out his best team? will it maybe kick them on to do better, give these guys a chance and give them the motivation to do better? It might work out for the best for them, and that might sound daft considering they're losing their best. He's their best player by a country mile. Mm-hmm. There's no denying that. There's a reason he's moving to Celtic for nearly £3 million. But
potentially.
I generally do think potentially it looks like it's going to happen. But it generally could give them that little bit that they need to kick on and do a bit better.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing with Motherwell is I can see if they don't turn this thing around quickly. This happens a lot with teams like Motherwell. I can see pressure coming on Stephen Robinson quickly if they don't turn it around. Because see, when you've got a team like Motherwell who, 3,000-4,000 season ticket holders, not exactly a big budget, not a wealthy club by any stretch of the means, and they go and have a really good season, they finish third. The fans all of a sudden expect their team to be up there. Whereas you look at it in terms of a balanced view, in terms of budget, in terms of support and all that. There's no God-given right for Motherwell to be third, fourth. They were overachieving last year. But when that becomes sort of the norm for these teams, their supporters tend to lose kind of track with reality in terms of, I can see if they go and lose another 2 games, there'll be pressure on Robinson, which is mad considering the job he's done there. And I think the board there will give him time, but it's whether the fans, give him time. Is the pressure will come on. It's a typical one because you look at Hearts last year. A lot of people tipped Hearts last year to
finish. I tipped them to finish fifth.
After getting the cup final to bounce back and push up for that third place fight. The squad, by all accounts, was good enough to do it, and they absolutely crumbled. So there is that danger Motherwell could do similar. I don't think that'll happen at all, but you just never know. They need to find something to get out of this rut. For Hamilton now, 4 games, 3 points. They're a point ahead of Motherwell already with the game in hand. So, yeah, massive win for Accies.
Of course, Stephen Robinson being the best manager Motherwell have seen since Mark McGee. So,
big dingus.
Do you know what I say? Replace Turnbull with Tam Cowan. I'm in the middle. Should do a job.
And the final game for the weekend, Ross County against St Mirren. There's a few talking points in this game actually. In that, the red card for Joe Shaughnessy. Did you see the red card? Did you see the challenge?
Yep.
So I heard big clangers Jamie Langfield on Twitter saying that it wasn't a red card. I don't know what.
Well, St Mirren aren't even appealing it. So
yeah, it was a shocking challenge for Shaughnessy.
Terrible.
Yeah, no complaints about that. What the best thing that whole game was, I told you about this yesterday, when Richard Tate's goal line clearance. Oh my days! I mean, like how his hamstrings out in bits after that.
Camden Jeremy Frimpong. When you start using all my days.
Oh, sorry, apologies. Tell you what, Tate had the agility of Jeremy Frimpong to get up there and clear that away.
Richard Tate with the agility of Jeremy Frimpong, dearie me.
But yeah, and St Mirren have started, both these sides actually, Ross County and St Mirren, playing decent stuff. They're 2 good teams to watch. What's his Joe Fitzpatrick?
Joe Fitzpatrick, aye.
Anyway,
Tony Fitzpatrick, aye, big Tony.
So he came out and said that St Mirren were going to fight for top 6 and all that carry on, and everyone laughed at them. They're sitting in 6th place so far. They're doing really well. Some good business coming in, signings coming in. Good win. He's got them playing a really nice brand of football as well. So, why can't they finish the top 6? That was his argument.
Obika's scoring goals.
Yeah, 2-2 for Obika as well. He's a big threat for them. But Ross County equally as well. They're sitting in 3rd, which is just mad. What a start they've had to the season.
Aye, it's just it's too bad. Look, anytime I watch St Mirren, first of all, I'm just kind of taken aback by the swell good looks of Jim Goodwin. We spoke about this yesterday, and we'll talk about that. And Ross County and St Mirren both opening the season with shockers, and that's boldly. If you follow the No Context Ryan 118 page on Twitter, you'll know that behind closed doors, I predicted that St Mirren would finish 6th in the table, and then I kind of kicked myself on YouTube, and I decided, nah, do you know what? I'll play it safe, and I think I put them 8th or 9th. I'm regretting that now because I think St Mirren are a team who can do that. Do you know what?
But incidentally, you also predicted Ross County to go down and they're sitting 3rd. So
right. Sorry, right. We weren't talking about that, David. We'll talk about St Mirren. We'll come on to Ross County. I just feel like they've got that. They look good in the games that they need. See the games that they need to win. They're doing a good job, and I feel like that's where other teams do struggle. You see the Hamilton. We talked about it a moment ago. Those 2 games they should have won on paper. They bottled. And then they managed to beat Motherwell. So Mirren are going to get the job done against the lesser teams this year. I think that could see them push that top 6 place if they want it. Ross County, on the other hand, God knows where that's came from. But the big talking point for me in Ross County and the thing that could change their whole season, Ross Stewart. Will he remain at the club?
I think he's a better player than Lyndon Dykes is.
Oh, he is. Absolutely.
It's mental,
If Tony Stokes is a better player than Lyndon Dykes in my eyes, then I've got to say Ross Stewart's a better player.
So the one thing about Ross County, we've said it on stream a few times, is my favourite thing about them is that they tend to play with 3 strikers. They're playing with Lee Irwin, Billy Mackay, Ross Stewart. They're a nightmare. I mean, 2 really big physical guys in Stewart and Irwin who can run channels, hold the ball up, and you've got Billy Mackay who's a natural goal scorer. They're going to cause teams problems as they have done. We said at the start of the season in our season preview that the top 6 was the top 5 were locked in. We kind of all agreed on that. Motherwell being one of that top 5. So now I'm not, if Motherwell keep going the way they are, maybe that's not the case. So
maybe it's opened up. There's a
St.
spot
Mirren,
there.
Ross County, there's absolutely no reason why they can't go for that top 6 spot.
Yep.
And the 2, if they continue the way they started, are absolutely going to be shirts for that.
Aye, absolutely. A space has kind of opened up now for someone to join the top 5 clubs in the country, and it could be any of these 2 teams where they're going. Ever since the manager was compared to David De Gea, things have just clicked. And the reason I say the managers because I can never remember if it's Kettlewell or Ferguson that's in charge.
Kettlewell's the manager.
I thought so. Right, don't need to act all smug about it.
Sorry, mate. Right. Scotland squad. So we were hoping that would be announced.
Hold on. Hold the bus, son. Hold the bus. Let me just interrupt you right there. Do you know what you've not done today? As man who is in charge of the social media for this stream, you have not asked for the people's questions.
Just interrupted. I've just got a Twitter notification. Scotland squad has been announced. I'll run through it for you.
Brilliant. Live on the go.
Scotland squad is David Marshall, Robbie McCrory, John McLaughlin, Liam Cooper, Declan Gallagher, Scott McKenna, Stephen O'Donnell, Liam Palmer, Andy Robertson, Greg Taylor, Kieran Tierney, Stuart Armstrong, Ryan Christie, John Fleck, Ryan Jack, John McGinn, Callum McGregor, Kenny McLean, Scott McTominay, Oliver Burke, James Forrest, Ollie McBurney, Lauren Shankland and Lyndon Dykes.
Surprised Shankland's kept his spot.
The most mental thing about that is Oliver Burke's in the squad. What's that all about?
Well, look, player. Joking.
Right, but Lyndon Dykes, that's the big talking point.
Right, Lyndon Dykes. I thought he was Australian.
So there's been these rumours he was going to choose Scotland. I didn't really believe it. He obviously has done. He's in the Scotland squad. Fantastic. Listen, you don't rate him that highly. I don't think he's as high as maybe his media praises deserve. But we need fresh options up front for Scotland. We absolutely need that. And I said earlier on, the role that he'll be asked to play for Scotland is similar to what he does for Livingston against Celtic and Rangers. Playing against teams that will be better than us when he needs to run channels, hold the ball up, put himself about, he'll do that well. I think it's a slightly bigger squad than usual in terms of, I'm guessing they'll just be experimenting. This is obviously for the Nation League games with Israel and the Czech Republic. But yeah, I think Ollie Burke's a surprise. And Greg Taylor's a bit of a surprise for me also, if I'm honest. The fact that Greg Taylor's going to suggest to me that Kieran Tierney might be used as either... I tell you what, it suggests to me that Kieran Tierney will be a centre-half option because if you think about how squads are balanced out, you tend to go 2 for each full-back and 4 centre-halves. Mm-hmm. So they've got Cooper, Gallagher and McKenna and Tierney as those 4 centre-halves would be the way I'm interpreting that squad. Liam Cooper as well, he's not really had much of a shout under Steve Clark. Glad to see him there. It's an exciting squad, I think.
After the trophy with Leeds, promotion to the Premier League, I think he should be in there. For me, it's a decent enough squad. Buck's a surprise, as you've already brought up. Yeah, I don't really get the Taylor hate, personally. I feel like he's a Greg Taylor.
It's not Greg Taylor hate. It's when you've got.
I know you. I don't mean you personally. I just mean about a lot of people going Taylor. He's been rotten. I don't think he's been that rotten. That's a conversation for another day. For me, I think Tierney has, no matter where they want to implement him in that team, play him up front. Play him up front if you want. He's got to be in that team. He's got to be in the starting 11 because for me, Ryan 118, not so bold claim because I don't think it's that bold. Since the restart of football...
he's miles better than Robertson since
the restart of football. Not just Robertson. He's the best player in that Scotland team.
Yeah,
since the restart of football. Out of all those 23, 24, however many men are there, best in that whole team. It's good to see McGinn called up and all the rest of it. He's best outfield player in terms of moving up the park anyway. And it's a decent enough squad. And look, I know we used to have been there. We used to have been watching that's cute, innit? We used to have been watching our first game of football together in the stands.
Yeah.
Maybe there.
Sorry, just incidentally also, see as I'm looking at this squad, there's a real lack of a left winger. Which is now making me think, what if Scotland are to revert to
I think we're going to go for the 3-5-2. play wing backs. I think that's what we're going to go for.
Because I tell you what that does. That gets Tierney into his
Tierney in the left. Tierney in the left hand side of it. Yep, left hand side of free. Robertson bombing down the wing, because that's the thing. Tierney probably himself doesn't feel like he's back to quite 100% in terms of bombing.
Sure. I think he definitely.
But in terms of bombing up and down the park for 90
Not just
minutes.
That, I just think he's a natural better defender than Andy Robertson is anyway.
So I think that'll suit him perfectly. Get Robertson down beside him. Get whoever you want there. I think the 3-5-2 is a perfect idea. I mean, and you've got that option now. If you play two up front, have somebody like Dykes and then get somebody a bit quicker beside
like
him.
Shankland or,
Just get somebody that can kind of do a lot more of the running. And
but what we've also said, so long as McBurney, right, he's done the business for Sheffield United and he's absolutely been worthwhile of a call up every single time.
He's done the best. Like, calm down a wee bit. I think he's.
Well, in terms of Scottish strikers, who's domestically done better than he has?
That's the situation we find ourselves in.
Shankland, maybe.
I wouldn't quite say that 5 goals for Sheffield United is doing the business.
Well, it is in terms of, you look at how he's played in some of them. I think he's been worthwhile to call up every time.
He's been really good in the big games. I'll give him
the big thing you'll say for him is that when he's played for Scotland, he's desperate for a partner. He's desperate for somebody else with there. If you do go to that 3-5-2, it suits him. Have you got the squad in front of you?
I've got the squad in front of you.
So we quick bit of fun, shall we? Just fire out what we think our best team would be from that, and we'll just get a wee vote in there.
All right, okay. Right, so
I'll go first if you want.
You're going first, right? Okay.
So at the moment, if this game was tomorrow, I'd go with John McLaughlin in goal. 4 games, 4 clean sheets for Rangers. He's the one at the moment that's playing regularly. Marshall's not at the moment.
You're the massive David Marshall fan as well.
I love David Marshall, but he's in off season just now, so I don't. Stephen O'Donnell. Oh, sorry, no. James Forrest as sort of right wing back, right midfield. Then I'd go with Gallagher, Cooper, Tierney, Robertson in the middle. I'd go with McGinn, McTominay. I'm trying to make sure I can count here.
I hope you can.
McGinn, McTominay, and then I'd go with this is tough. McGinn, McTominay, and Cal McGregor, and then up front, Ollie McBurney and Lyndon Dykes. Why not?
Right, for me, I'm going to go for.
That's horrific. God.
I'm going to go for Oliver Buck in all 11 positions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to go. Do you know what? I'm going to back you up. Controversially, I'm going to go McLaughlin between the sticks. You know what? No. I would try and change the nationality of Jack Hannock and get him in the squad. I'd go with John McLaughlin in goals. I would go for the right wing back position to be Stephen O'Donnell. I think Forrest is hopeless at the minute, and if you have any chance, the boy can't even make a standing tackle, never mind anything else.
Well, I mean, when Celtic played 3-5-2, that's where he plays, or at least it was last season.
Well, Frimpong probably played a bit more than Forrest did, to be honest.
When he played 3-5-2, Forrest was never dropped. What are you talking about?
I don't know.
Frimpong was injured at times as well. He settled down for the Celtic fan here.
I just don't think that Forrest should be there. Anyway, O'Donnell, if the three at the back, in the middle, I'd have Tierney over on the left-hand side. I'd have Gallagher in there with Cooper.
Yes, same as me.
I'd have them. And I have Robertson. I'd have Robbo, as they call him, at the left wing back.
The midfield three's got to be the same. McGregor, McGinn and McTominay, no?
I would go for McGinn to be...
Oh, actually, no, I'm going to change my mind. Can I change my mind?
Let the boss, don't interrupt my team. You can come back in a minute. Who you think you are cutting me off here, eh? What is this, a debate? Right. No. Hold your wish. Let me go. Right. I would go for the middle three of McGinn. I would go for McGregor as the more attacking of the three.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
And I would go because I'd have McGinn as a box to box. It's like the FM scene here. I'm McGinn as a box to box. McGregor, and I would have joining them in the middle of the park. Kenny McLean. I'd have. I don't know. I'm kind of want to go for Armstrong.
Yeah, so I am going to go for Armstrong. Brilliant for Southampton after the restart.
Yep, I'm going to go for Armstrong, McTominay, and McGinn.
So I would go with McGregor as the sitter, as the number 6. I've
dropped McGregor. I'm
McGinn and Armstrong ahead. So
I'm world's number. Actually, no, I agree because McTominay didn't play a lot of football towards the end of the season. He was kind of, niggling.
I would absolutely love to see Lyndon Dykes and Ollie McBurney.
And then my two up front. My two up front personally would be you can't go with Shankland. He's not played. I would go with.
It's got to be Dykes and McBurney. That'd be amazing to see. I think that'd be really interesting.
Dykes and McBurney it is, if you want, mate. So did we
But
just
I would bring out the best.
Is it only? So we sat there for that long to just make the difference with Stephen O'Donnell,
Stephen O'Donnell, James Forrest. What a pointless wee segment to the show that was.
Hope everybody enjoyed watching it. Oh, brilliant. Well, I mean, the Scotland squad is interesting to see the least. I'm happy with that. It could have been a lot worse. But we need to charge on. I have to go through. We need to make these Euros, man. This is it. This is time. This
is really confusing me. So this is the Nations League, which is the games are Friday the 4th and Monday the 7th.
It's not even Israel in that game, is it?
When is the playoff?
Playoff September, is it no?
But this is September.
Sugar, so it is, Bloody hell, year's flown in, isn't it?
It has.
Year is flown in.
The annoying thing about this Nations League is we're playing Israel all the time just now. We played them in the first Nations League, we're playing them in the playoff. 8th of October is the Israel game.
October.
And that turns the playoffs. So
fair.
This will be almost a warm-up for that. And I think the thing for this game as well, I think you'll see them play two sides very much the same in these two Nations League games in terms of preparing for the Israel game, which will be the next international break. So, yeah, interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it. I must admit, my interest to the national side has really risen over the past few years.
As we've got worse.
As we have got worse. And that's probably just by me getting proper back into Scottish football as a whole. Everything. Especially since we started this podcast, just try and admire the whole league. The interest has just kind of peaked for me right now, which is great.
Yeah. Glad to hear it, mate. Glad to hear it.
Is there anything else we've got to touch on?
Don't think so. As you said, I've got questions for this show. So
I know, I can't believe you forgot the most important part, what makes this possible. The fans. So, ladies and gentlemen,
the fans got 1,000 subs, so thank you very much to all.
Oh, don't try and pander to them now. You forgot to ask the questions. You're to blame.
Right, quickly, a wee bit of transfer news. What to touch on? Do we think Alfredo Morelos is leaving Rangers?
Yes, I do.
Right,
and this is what I wanted to say this earlier when you brought it up. So I'm going to very quickly before we do wrap up the show. Alfredo Morelos for me, I just if he goes, I'm going to be honest. My interest in Celtic winning a title it just rises and rises and rises and rises and rises. Morelos, yes, he is dipped. There's no doubt about that. But his natural goal scoring ability, I don't think can be matched by either Kemar Roof or that Itten character. None of the two.
Scored a goal at the weekend on his debut. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, like, what else do you want from him so far? He's got a goal scoring debut, but they both look very sharp.
I'm not saying like, you're putting words in my mouth here, David. You're trying to bring me down.
What you're saying here
no. I don't think they'll be as good a natural goal scorer as Morelos. I'm not saying they're not going to be good players. I think whatever they will bring to that team will be good. There's a reason Rangers have signed them and paid the money for them. I just think Morelos is one of the best strikers that they could. I think he's probably the creme de la creme of strikers that Rangers can have. I don't think he can be topped. And if he is topped by Ruth, if he is topped by Itten, I will be Provadafty. So you take that and use it as much. Not for the first. How many times have I been Provadafty in this show?
Oh, quite a few. Let's be honest here. Don't give me it. We'll have to cut the show before we start scrapping over Zoom here.
Name three.
Marion Shved over Ryan Kent. Ross County finished bottom, which was a few weeks ago.
You said that, no?
No, I did not. I said second bottom, all right? and then Scott Brown Player of the Year. Yeah, that was not a shout.
Still 35 games to go. After that one, Dave. Still 35 games to go. But I think it'll be a big loss to Rangers.
I think Gerrard will be more likely to let him go. I don't think Gerrard will be that worried about losing him now. I think he would have been a month ago, but I think now they'll not be that worried, to be honest.
It's weird for me to be the one who's backing up Morelos in this case.
Yeah, I mean, I said to you yesterday, I'll be devastated if he leaves just for Scottish football, because what a character. He will make Scottish football less exciting, no matter what way you look at it. So, yeah. I think there'll be some transfer business done this year. Looks like David Turnbull deal could be done as well. So,
I mean, said to be an interesting week. Look, if Celtic make more, right? If Celtic get more than 4 signings made between now and the first week of September, I will get Peter Law's name tattooed on my backside.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Well, mate, have you seen the news? Jeez.
4 signings. Who are the 4 then? Hickey.
Right. So we've got Turnbull, right? We've got Turnbull, Shane Duffy, and then there's talk of Riquelme from Atletico Madrid.
So that was a weird one. That news was broken by Atletico Madrid, and nobody had heard about it over here before that.
And then there was talk of obviously Hickey, which I don't think will happen, but Hickey. And now there's talk of it. Apparently, there's some rumours floating about, and I'm waiting for some official kind of sources to come out. Apparently, we bidded £7 million for this Trabzonspor Turkish team player. Turkish team player. Apparently, we bidded £7 million.
Trabzonspor.
Aye, that's the one.
I'd be very surprised if that was true.
Oh, I'd be very surprised. But I mean, if we make 4 of those 5, I will.
I'll get names on your backside.
Aye, okay. That'll be the 2K special.
Deary me. You want to be summoned for the channel knowing you've got that on your backside.
Oh no, right enough. Peter, mate.
Peter, mate.
Right, is that us covered everything before we go even more absurd? Thank you everybody for watching the podcast or listening. If you've been on Spotify/Apple Podcast, we will be back tomorrow with a video. We'll be back Thursday. Is tomorrow Thursday? No, we'll be back Thursday with a video, perhaps Friday, Saturday live. We'll see where it all goes. David, any final thoughts?
No.
Thanks very much then. See you all next time.